Hi, it's Chris Watkin here from Doric Lodge 362 in the province of Lincolnshire, and I'm with Jez Highland, who's responsible for the festival 2020 to 2025 in Lincolnshire. Jez, what is the festival to those brethren that might not know what a festival is?
I'd like to explain it. It's an MCF, the Masonic Charitable Foundation definition is really, it's an appeal, Chris. It's an appeal with an event at the end to celebrate that appeal. The background within the country is that there's 44 provinces take part in a festival on a cycle of every 11 years. So that's 4 provinces go into festival every year. And most are in festival between 5 and 6 years. So you spend half of your Masonic life in a festival and half of it outside of the festival.
But surely, as a Mason, I've been putting money in those little envelopes and giving a little standing order to my almoner every month. Isn't that what charitable fundraising is all about, or is it different?
It's all combined.
Okay.
Because during the times that we're not in festival,
okay,
we are raising for our own local charities and via the new Provincial Benevolent Fund. But what's fantastic, the great concept of Freemasonry, is while we're not in festival, there's 40 other provinces that are in festival that are raising money for Lincolnshire, because the Masonic Charitable Foundation gives us an average of over £200,000 a year.
So the Masonic Charity Fund, or the MCF, is like a group of Masonic charities that have all come together. Is that right?
Yeah, they merged in. There was 4 main Masonic charities that merged in 2016.
We got the old 4 Masonic charities. I think the Boys and Girls was one of them, wasn't
That's
there?
right.
We've got the others. They've come together. So is it really kind of like, for 6 years you're not in festival as a province, you're doing the background stuff, but for 5 years it's like focused and everyone's in it together for one big thing?
I agree with that, but I think that during the 6th year, I'd like to say it's half and half, 5.5, to be quite honest. You're building up your reserves for support to your own charities in Lincolnshire. And I can assure you that our accounts are strong enough that while we're in festival, we can still continue to support our local charities. Now, lodges will still have the opportunity to ask the province for those 500s, those thousands every year, because we're...
Or is that where that money comes from?
That's where that money comes from, yes.
So we're not... Yeah, I get it now. So who's expected to put money into this? Is it a big pot of money? What's it all about? Tell me.
We've got a goal over the 5.5 years of £2.25 million.
How much?
2.25 million.
Wow.
The figure sounds really big.
It sounds massive.
But if you break it down after, and this is utopia, Chris, but if you break it down to every subscribing member in Lincolnshire over the whole term of the festival,
okay,
it's a cup of coffee a week, £2.88 a week.
So what's that a month?
Less that. It's £2.28. £9.88, mathematic off the top of my head, I'm not 100%.
Okay.
But it's less than £10 a month.
So for £10 a month, and that takes into account, because I know there's a few brethren that are in a couple of lodges, that takes that into account, doesn't it? So you're not expected to pay twice,
No, it's every subscribing member. Yeah.
Okay.
The difficulty with the goal setting that we've done for each of the lodges is we don't know how many are joining members, which is why we're saying it's a goal and not a target.
Okay.
Because we can't physically set the T word, the target word,
okay, because
we haven't got the data. We can't do that in any business. Anybody that knows a target, you have to make sure you've got the analysis of how people give, how often they attend, how many attend, how many are joining members, and we haven't got that.
I've been speaking to the more mature brethren, and one thing they didn't particularly like about last festival was the target word. Are we saying there's no targets?
There isn't. It's a goal. It's an aspiration, and I think we've learned from the last festival how fantastically successful that was in monetary terms, and I think moving forward we can learn great things from that festival. It was a huge success. I took on the role when offered the chairman of the festival, but I didn't want to feel as if we were producing league tables. I never want to be somebody that's having to make a phone call to say, you haven't achieved this yet, because I think this is a hobby and it needs to remain as such.
Why do you think it's so important that we as Masons do charity? I mean,
It's a core value, Chris.
I mean, let's be honest. On our first degree, it's the first thing you do
Absolutely.
at here in Grantham, at the
Absolutely.
northeast corner.
Poor and penniless.
Yes.
Poor and penniless. It's in our DNA. It's in our culture. It's a concept that is so familiar with Masons. I think what has, and my own experience is, I've been a little bit lazy with my giving to Masons. Certainly my regular giving. Okay. I just haven't reviewed
I mean,
it.
I've been in masonry now a few years, and I thought it was just a case of put a couple of quid in the wooden plate that comes around in the closing ode, and a couple of quid in the envelope. And I thought, what the fuss is about? Yeah. This is what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah. And when you see some of the numbers from the Masonic Charitable Foundation, the MCF, you know, when they're talking about giving £20 million a year plus, okay. And when the Charity Commission, when they get their act together and because they're still coordinating the 4 charities that merged, and once they get all the figures eventually from the MCF and they produce a league table, we're going to be up there as one of the biggest charitable givers in the country.
Jess, are you telling me that if every Lincolnshire brother from the 1st of January 2020 does a standing order for £9.88, we will hit that 2.25 million aspiration?
If every subscribing member did do that, we would hit that figure, but that's utopia. And we don't live in a perfect world. There is a famous adage that a third will give freely, a third will give when encouraged, and a third won't at all.
I mean, if there's brothers out there that can't give, you must actually think to yourself that if they're living that close to the breadline, they might actually need some help from the MCF.
Yes, absolutely.
Now you say that the MCF gives approximately about £250,000 a year, and has done, you know, for the last 5-10 years, hasn't it?
We use a figure of generally £200,000 a year, but the last couple of years has been 230s, 240s back into Lincolnshire. So again, what we're saying is, over that cycle of 11 years, at 2.25 million, you haven't got to be a mathematician to realise that what's raised in Lincolnshire will stay in Lincolnshire. We'll get the money back over the cycle.
Now, I've looked at the figures, and the thing that absolutely blew my mind is that out of last year's near Adamic £250,000, £30,000, 30 grand, went to 9 or 10 local charities and really did help. And we're going to do a launch video of those. Yeah. But the thing that really screwed my mind, if you don't mind me saying, is that 72 Masonic families, 72 brethren, the bulk of that money, 220 grand, went to brothers just like you, sat opposite you in the lodge room, in the temple, you know, with their badges.
That's a great number, that 72, because we've got 74 lodges in the province, 2 of which are joining members only. So we've got 72 mother lodges, for want of a better phrase. That's 1 per lodge every single year that's helped. And we don't know we don't know who's going to be next, Chris, who might need financial help, I mean, or poor health.
I've been hearing some fantastic stories of where parents have died and their grandkids have gone back to their grandparents and haven't been able to afford it, and the MCF have stepped in, you know, and basically been enabled to keep the kids with their grandparents. Yeah. I mean, this is priceless stuff. This is what we signed up for in Masonry, wasn't it?
It is, and I think a lot of people don't understand the breadth of people in our lives, our families, our relatives. They don't understand the breadth of people that the MCF will actually support. If you can bear with me, I can give you a little rundown of who's available to support. The MCF definition is it's married or life partner, widow or surviving partner, divorced or separated partner, children under 25 in full-time education, grandchildren under 25 in full-time education. If it's long-term care issue, Masonic care home support, parents, grandparents, relatives-in-law, siblings, and under the whole umbrella, if the MCF is willing to support any relative, if
it's our relatives,
it is. You know, if a Freemason has provided them with support, financially or physical support, then they are eligible to claim from the MCF, and that's our family.
Well, that's what it's about, isn't it? We all profess to be brothers and helping each other out, but it blows my mind that surely it's our duty to, if the MCF is giving £220,000 a year and has done for the last 10 years and beyond in its different guises, because it used to be split up, we've got to balance that out, haven't we? We've got to pay it back in, haven't we?
Yeah, but that is just one portion, isn't it? Freemasons and their families, one portion. The other portion is the wider community. You know, the charities we help, like the hospitals, the air ambulance. You know, I've been involved in giving cheque presentations, one in particular in Grimsby to Linkage. You know, £61,000 as a donation, a really meaningful figure. We all know about recently Wainfleet. You know, nearly £80,000, of which 25 came from the MCF. And how quickly we reacted to that, Chris.
Good PR.
We reacted quickly to that.
So
and
really,
we need to spread that word as well.
So really, it's a case of helping local charities in Lincolnshire and helping local brethren and their families get over basically the trials and tribulations of life. As it says in the northeast corner, you know, through misfortune and circumstances outside their control.
And we've all answered the question, would you give freely? You know, and we've said yes.
Well, it's there at the northeast corner, mate.
Yes,
you know.
yeah. The big change that's going to happen with this festival is that we're having a new system of a relief chest where everyone's got to sit back really and review what they're giving. And I've been quite lazy with the way I've worked with my own regular giving. And I think this festival gives everyone the opportunity to say, have a look at what you give, how much it gives and where it goes, and make the sensible decisions of, is it affordable? Is it going to the right place where I want it to go to? And I'll look at the MCF, I'll do some research on the MCF and just understand a bit more about it. And then hopefully the brethren will be convinced and understand that what they put in, actually we do get out in Lincolnshire over that cycle.
Yeah, it's not going to a big pot.
It's the famous, it just goes to London and we never see it again. That is not the case. That is not the case. And there's more initiatives. I was at a conference only 2 weeks ago in Nottingham, and there's going to be more coming from the MCF on that with some match funding and what have you that will be announced over the next year or so that'll be great for provinces in festival in particular.
What one message do you want to get across to the charity stewards that you and your team behind you can do to support them?
That there is support and assistance there. We've tried to create a network of support for the charity stewards because they're the key players in this. They've got the difficult job because they actually have to go and ask every member whether or not somebody's going to give. And because I'm saying and encouraging people to give regularly under the new mandate, a new relief chest, I'm saying it's a great opportunity to review what you do, then decide where you want it to go, do the new mandate. The difficulty is the charity steward is the person that's got to have the list of members and ask the question. And they've got to ask the question also of people that don't attend. Because that doesn't mean that just because they're a subscribing member, they've still probably got charity at their heart. They may need a bit more education because they're not in the lodge and not hearing the festival word. The other brethren, Chris, really, there's I think approximately 300 new initiates from the last festival. The festival world will be new to them. Now they're going to get a brochure, but we need to be, or the charity stewards need to be speaking to those people about their understanding of what in festival, outside of festival, explaining what the MCF does for us, and that the MCF at the end of the day is our charity. The MCF is our charity.
It's just the same, it's the old 4 individual charities come together under one banner, saves them cost, makes them more efficient and basically puts one point of contact.
That's why it was done.
What final word would you say to any brother listening to this video?
Review what you're doing. That's repetition, Chris, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it probably for every week for the next 5 years. Review what you're doing. Just take a step back and look from within and just decide what's affordable and where you want it to go, and then take the action.
And if anyone's got any questions, can they pick the phone up to
Absolutely, they can.
What's your number?
There's 07957 603 604. They can go through their area coordinators if they want. They can go through the area coordinators' teams. They can come direct to me. I'm happy to speak to anybody.
And we're going to make this fun, aren't we?
We've got to make it fun because we want to bring that, it's a famous cliche, put fun into fundraising, but we want to enjoy the journey. We join Masonry for many very valid reasons, but it is a hobby and we want it to remain as such. And by having fun, it remains a hobby.
Well, charity is what it's all about, isn't it?
It's a distinguishing characteristic of a Freemason's heart, Chris.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
That's what we said, didn't we?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, Chris.